And we're live.
And if anything, it was coming off of 7 years of doing Wipeout, like writing family-friendly, soul-crushing puns. Just.
Do you feel for Bob Saget now? Do you know his pain? Like all those years he was doing AFV.
I gotta tell you, man. I mean, I've talked about this before, but I had the opportunity when I left Talk Soup in like 1999. I was offered the opportunity to take over AFV for Bob Saget, right? And I turned it down, and it was a ton of money, like crazy money, and I turned it down. And obviously, I wish I hadn't. In retrospect, Tom Bergeron has, made himself a gazillion dollars doing that. But you've got to remember, like Woody, if you remember Talk Soup,
sure.
I was doing comedy for college kids and stoners and like edgy, weird, avant-garde humor. And Bob Saget and America's Funniest Home Videos, and this is not a knock on Bob. It was a great gig for him, but it was the gig. Like, this was gray-haired people in the audience, laugh track, puns. Like, it was the polar
like people would be slipping in puddles, and he would just make a little voice. He'd be like, "Oh no, is that a puddle? Whoops, I fell again." Like,
I've been on America's Funniest Home Videos. They grabbed one of my YouTube videos and put it on that show, and they cut it up and they put a laugh track to it and stuff. And I didn't like what they did with it, to be honest. I was like, it doesn't quite build.
One of your videos was on AFB.
The
they
dog bark collar
one of your
one.
videos up and put laugh tracks in it and put it on America's Funniest Home Videos.
They bought the rights for it. Yeah, the dog barking collar one.
Yeah. Woody put a dog collar on himself and electrocuted himself. He barked. He went woof woof, and of course, it zapped him because he's a real humanitarian, and everybody points to that as something irresponsible. He was doing it because he was about to strap that thing on his dog. He wanted to know how bad is this? If he's going to be
a serious fucking collar. The dog was a Great Dane, and I put it on, and you talk and it didn't really go off. You bark quietly, it didn't go off. But then each time you set it off, it ratcheted up the amount of shocking you're getting. And so the first one, it just kind of shocked me. By the end of it, like my feet are tapping, my head is going, and it was a pretty good video.
Because it was for large dogs. It was supposed to be like, if this dog doesn't figure out it needs to stop chewing on this little boy's arm, he needs to get shocked a little harder.
Well, it was
for a Shih Tzu.
It was a bark collar. So
it was like being tased by a police officer.
Yeah.
I was on the show, and I know exactly what they do.
Yeah, well, to me, it felt like I can't do that. It felt like I would be selling out my brand, And the irony is, I ended up doing Wipeout, which was a very similar, family-friendly, slapsticky, goofy style of humor.
It's a lot funnier because it's real.
It's a lot funnier, and I feel like it's more of a teen audience, if anything, because of the violence. They're falling and stuff. It was so weird the first time. My only exposure to Bob Saget had been Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, and then I watched. There's maybe it's a Netflix special, but it's definitely like this little comedy special about the Aristocrats joke.
Oh yeah,
and they have like lots of different comedians tell their version of the Aristocrats. And when I heard Bob Saget's, I'm like, oh my god, that's Bob Saget. And then I'm like, I have to relearn who Bob Saget is. And I start doing my research, and it's just like, he's such a filthy comic. And then I started thinking, like, was that soul crushing for him? And then I start doing research, and like, yeah, it was. Yeah, he hated it.
Yeah. And you know what? He made like $20 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's not that soul crushing.
Well,
but